Now, number three, and this one is up to you, although I really, really recommend it, taking notes.
Hmm.
Usually people regret it if they don't. You can also record the session if you have something to record,
Hmm.
but even then I would still recommend kind of just writing some stuff down on the side. Okay?
Right. Thanks.
Good. And then last, but definitely not least, now this is kind of weird because usually I have a coachee pass, which kind of allows players to ask me questions, but you get that if you like get an actual session.
Right.
So this one is kind of not like classified as that, but that's not really an issue because you can just contact me anyway. So like if you have any questions after the session, just send me a message on Discord or Twitter, and I'll get back to you. Okay?
Sure. Thank you.
Good, perfect. Now, since there isn't really like, since we're kind of skipping the first half of the session, considering that there wasn't really a lot to prepare,
Uh-huh.
do you have some gameplay that we can go over?
I do. I do. Let me
Okay.
just pull that up. So I have two clips. One, I'm kind of healing and trying out Tracer, who I'm less comfortable with. But I thought it would be a good example of DPS and heal. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the other, I'm doing Sombra, who's like my favorite character to play, but she's so niche that I thought maybe I wouldn't maximize the efficacy of this time by talking about her. But I don't know what you think.
Um, I think you should play whatever the heck you want.
Okay.
Um, okay, what would you say is like your current hero pool?
Um, so usually I end up on Lucio. Sometimes I'll take the Mercy if the team feels like we need a Mercy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then DPS wise, I really jump around like I kind of told you. There hasn't been someone that I focus most. I have most time on Tracer, and then also kind of same thing with the tank. Like I play a lot of Ryan, sometimes Winston, sometimes I go Zarya if we have like a Ryan on the team.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, we need to specialize a little. So you mentioned that you have time to play for around 10 to 15 hours per week.
Hmm.
No, that's good. That's kind of like what okay, good. That's I'd say like 15 hours is kind of, or 14 to 15 hours is kind of the minimum
Hmm.
where someone can actually expect to, at least sometimes play at their full potential and, slowly but surely climb to the skill rating that they belong at.
Hmm.
25 hours is usually kind of, the recommended amount if someone, wants to get, as far as they possibly can, kind of reach their full potential.
Right.
But 14 to 15, that's completely fine. But that is of the assumption that your hero pool follows a few rules.
Hmm.
The first one being size. So in general, no matter how much Blizzard, wants to like think, make you think that, Overwatch is not really a game where playing a bunch of different characters is super beneficial. You do want to play a few, okay, so you don't just want to one trick because your inflexibility is going to lose you a bunch of games. But usually focusing on around three characters is recommended because that's kind of the sweet spot between, being flexible enough so that you always have something to pick, but
Hmm.
also specializing enough so that you'll actually know what you're doing on those characters.
Okay, so
Uh,
choosing a counter
mhm.
pick really isn't as important as.
No, it really isn't. One kind of thought process that you can go through in game. So I asked you for idols, and you didn't really have one.
Right.
Let's say I go into a game when I was, starting the game and I was playing McCree. One character that was kind of annoying to me was actually Roadhog.
Hmm.
Okay, because I couldn't dodge him with my combat roll, and he would just push me with like for some reason I don't know what it was, but for some reason I just had no idea how to deal with him whatsoever. Okay, um, and the thing is, at first I kind of thought, okay, maybe I need to go and learn how to play Reaper. Okay,
Hmm.
but then I kind of thought about, my favorite player, IDDQD, and I was just wondering, if IDDQD would like just get into my room right now, sit down in front of my PC, and take control and play the rest of this match, would he swap from McCree? And I pretty quickly came to the conclusion he probably wouldn't. He would just play McCree and beat these, I don't know, rank 56 players in the first season.
Right.
Okay. And that thought process kind of helped me understand that okay, sure, I could switch to Reaper, but I feel that if I just stick with McCree, I can learn so much more, and I can really, really try and master McCree up to a point where honestly, I don't really care about what the enemies are running. Like I don't care if they have a Genji or something, characters that are usually pretty annoying, because I'm just going to be good enough to deal with those characters.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's kind of what I did, and I just stuck through, and now I don't play Reaper because I just don't feel the need for it. Okay, I can just keep on going with McCree or Soldier or whatever.
Okay.
Um, And it's this kind of the same thing with you. If you get really, really, really good at a few characters, there really is no need to counter anymore. Because you're just going to be so good that you'll basically be untouchable anyways. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
So,
So.
so even in those situations where, let's say, the enemy has a Pharah and nobody could take her out, it's not like
Mhm.
I need to learn a hit scan to be able to deal with that. I should
No,
just
not really.
outplay on
Because
whatever I'm playing on.
so Farah is just one character.
Right.
Usually, okay, if they have a Far Mercy, then I guess it's two characters. But even then, that means that there are still four enemies on the enemy team that are not Farah Mercy.
Hmm.
Okay? The problem is, a lot of players think, oh, this Farah is really good, we need to counter her. But it's actually quite the opposite. If the Farah is the only one who's actually doing anything, then her teammates are the weak link. So you want to
Mm.
try and take them out because no matter how good the Farah is, if all of her entire team is dead, it doesn't really matter that she don't have any hit scan because she's going to lose 1v6 even against a team comp that's all close range.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, so yes, sometimes you just need to learn that. Okay, I'm just going to avoid this engagement.
Okay.
Okay. Um, that's why if you know Pro like Crow, for example, he's like this Junkrat one trick. He literally plays nothing but Junkrat.
Hmm.
Okay, and he doesn't switch when someone picks Pharah. He has five other people that he can blow up, so he doesn't really need to find a counter for this one specific character.
Got it.
Okay,
Okay, that makes sense.
so characters hero pool size is kind of the first thing. Second of all, you want to have some flexibility still. So usually it's recommended to be able to cover at least two different roles. And then lastly, and this one is kind of important to focus either on projectile and hit scan. So kind of what I told you in the Twitter DMs. So following those criteria, what would you say is kind of a hero pool that you can pick?
Okay. I would say Lucio's by far my most played character that I'm most comfortable on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sombra's my favorite character to play. I'd love to be able to focus on her. And then I could always
Mm-hmm.
do like I enjoy Reinhardt too.
Mm-hmm.
I'd choose those
Okay.
three.
So there you need to be careful because Lucio's projectile, Sombra's hit scan. Um,
Okay,
no,
so
it it
I
it,
see what
it
you're saying. So I shouldn't
mhm.
mix and match even outside of roles.
So it's not really like okay, so it's not like the biggest deal to
I
be
see.
honest.
Hmm.
It's just kind of min maxing. Okay, so for example, you know, someone who plays a lot of McCree and Soldier, he would probably go with a character like Ana, whereas someone
Hmm.
who plays a lot of Genji and Pharah would probably do better with a character like Zenyatta.
Hmm. Okay.
But again, I wouldn't worry about that if you like Lucio, Sombra, Reinhardt, that's completely fine. Okay, the
Okay.
important thing is that you actually stick to that one specific hero pool.
Okay.
Okay, you need to make sure that okay, because you can get kind of tempted in games. You'll be like, oh, if I would switch to Mercy, we would probably win. Okay, but you really, really shouldn't like search for the easy way out. Okay,
Hmm.
you want to always kind of push yourself to the limit.
Okay, so I guess the same applies. The same what you're talking about in the concepts of like not switching to counter. Same thing with like map specific heroes. Like I shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
just pick Lucio on like let's say King of the Hill or something like he's
No, no,
on
no, no, no.
defense or whatever. That's fine too.
You can play him wherever as long as
I
you're good
see.
enough. Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, good. Well, now that we have that out of the way, hopefully we'll
Hmm.
have a hero pool that's a bit more compact.
Yeah.
Um, I need to. Why does it always log me out? That's so weird. I need you to send me some of your gameplay so we can go over it.
Sure thing. Okay, so the second half of this is going to be Lucio, so I can send you that.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Okay. I think that's private. That's private. You need to make it public.
Oops. Okay, one sec.
I'm sorry.
So Do you know how to do that? I'm looking around.
Yeah, go to the go to your video manager. I can actually send you a link to it if you can't find it. Like, just go to the top right, go to like create your studio. I don't know if you use the new design or use the old one. And then you go to so you basically want to go to this page right there. Just click on it, and then the video should show up. Just click on edit, and right there you should be able to set it to public. Got it?
Still looking on where I'm on the edit screen, but looking at where the
It
make
should
it
be on
public
the
says.
right somewhere. Like right next to the video title.
I don't see it.
Is okay, so this one is going to be in German, but should still look the same. Is this not what you can see?
Yes, I see that. Where's the...
Above the box to share. Make sure that you're under, like, I don't know what it means in English, general information.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, good. Let's check. Good. Much better, okay. Is this the only VOD you have?
I have a Sombra one as well.
Okay. So we can just go through this entire VOD because it has both Tracer and Lucio, so that covers two of the characters, which I'd say is pretty good. No, I'm dumb. Wait, you meant Sombra Lucio. I'm actually retarded. Okay, so we're gonna skip to the Lucio part. I'm just saying because it's very short, so...
Right. But I have another one that's about the same length as the Lucia one, but with Sombra.
Okay. Well, let's go over the Lucio one first.
Sure.
Can you click... I think I might have messed up the link. Wait, let me try that again. There we go. Can you try to click on this, put in a random name, and click on continue?
Okay.
Okay, good. Can you see your VOD?
Yes.
Yes? No? Question mark?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Perfect. Good. So, what is your role? What
To
do you
heal
think you
and
need to do?
to provide movements.
Well, that's not your role. That's just what your character can... What is your actual role? Like, how do you win games?
I guess to survive and help my teammates survive?
Well, okay, yes, you should survive, but it's not so much to help your teammates survive.
Okay.
Lucio is not like Mercy, where he just kind of pockets his teammates all day long. Lucio is played a lot more aggressive. It's a lot less about kind of holding together your own team. It's more about disrupting the enemy team.
Okay.
So, one of the best ways you can do it on this first point is one of the things the attackers would really, really like to do is they would like to get on the high ground behind you. And as Lucio, it's kind of your responsibility to stop them from doing that. So as soon as you see someone pushing up there, you would go up there as well. You would try to, boop him down just to kind of deny him that area, just as an example. Or, maybe there's a flanker coming around the back. You want to go and duel him, okay? Because especially if you're on heal aura, it can be very, very hard for a flanker to, kill Lucio.
Okay.
So those are kind of your general, I guess, rules of play.
Right.
Okay. You're already not doing something that this Symmetra is doing and this Reinhardt is doing.
Okay,
They're
charging
going for free
first
charge.
shots.
Okay. Lucio's ultimate is an ultimate that charges very slowly, So it becomes even more important that you really try to get every single point of ult charge that you can. Okay? And, this Symmetra is already, drowning in ult charge, and you're just standing here not really doing anything. In general, your goal in the game is to always try and get as much ult charge as you possibly can. That is the main objective of the entire game. There really is not much more to it.
Lucio or otherwise also?
In general, with any character, if you have the choice between two plays, generally you should choose the play that's going to give you more ult charge in the long run.
Okay.
And, right here already you would know, a Lucio who would have shot into the spawn would already have, more than 1%. Okay.
Does that include generally targeting tanks then, instead?
Anything.
More ult? I see.
Anything. Anything that gives you progress towards, getting ult charge. Because the problem is, look, so far, 23 seconds have passed. And you haven't fired off a single shot. Okay, maybe you could have just kind of touched someone on the enemy team. Maybe you could have, started shooting some shields at least, so that,
Right.
just weakening them.
Even if that means popping in front of my Ryan shield, because I know if I move up, I could get taken out pretty quickly.
You're Lucio. You're very, very hard to hit.
Okay.
And even then, most of the time you don't even need to go in front of your Reinhardt shield. But yeah, you can't really be scared.
Okay.
Again, do you think a pro Lucio player would be scared of going in front of his Reinhardt shield for a second?
Probably not.
Probably not. He won't just you're basically just strafing around the back here. And again, it's been 30 seconds and you have 5% ult charge. That's pretty abysmal. Now, Lucio's ultimate is one of the slowest charging ultimates in the game, okay? So, I don't expect you to get it, immediately.
Right.
But 5% is really not good.
Got it.
Okay? And one important thing, and I think this is actually interesting because this is something you can probably relate to, is you need to, as Lucio, you need to kind of inflict psychological terror in the enemy team. So what that means is that Platinum players in general, including you, okay, are just not that great at dealing with pressure because you tend to overestimate a threat. Okay? And and we can see that in this play. Earlier you told me, I didn't want to go in front of the Reinhardt shield. That was you overestimating a threat. But the enemies are in the same boat. So if you start shooting the enemies, if you start you just need to, even if none of your shots are landing, as long as they see those projectiles going through the choke, that's already making them respect you more than if nothing is coming in. Even if you're not hitting anything, even if you're purposefully missing every single shot, you are still having an impact because the enemies are going to overestimate how strong you are as a team. You're kind of like a bear. You really need to make them scared of you. And if for 30 seconds into the game you're not even, telling the enemies, guys, I know how to left click, then that's obviously already pretty bad. Okay?
Got it.
And your teammates are kind of freaking out, which is obviously really, really good. But Lucio is really, he's not a DPS, but he can really do a lot. So this Roadhog is free ult charge. One thing that you need to keep in mind, when a Roadhog hooks, the most annoying thing you can do is to knock him around.
Right.
Okay? Because he's the enemy character is always going to be pulled in front of the Roadhog. But if the Roadhog gets pushed away, then all of a sudden the target is getting pulled, somewhere into another direction. So right here, as soon as he landed that hook, just even towards the Reinhardt, just so that he kind of goes over. Okay? Should always try to go for these opportunities. Now, please, Reinhardt, don't die. Okay, good. So your Mercy kind of saves you, and it looks good. Okay, so far so good. Your soldier's going pretty aggressive. Your Reinhardt's going pretty aggressive. This is fine. There's a soldier to your right. You need to get up there. The soldier's still up there. Go. Oh no, he's scared. Go in. Just go up to the high ground. See, this is your job. Okay. This is your job. That soldier is up there, literally, what everyone expects. You don't really need to do a lot as Lucio, but when you need to do something, you need to do it fast. So right now there's a soldier up there, farming ult charge for free, pressuring your team, okay, completely uncontested. And look how far you guys have fallen back. You used to defend at the choke, okay? There's this concept in this game, okay? Also, I need something to It's so cold, so my nose is running.
Oh, man.
Okay. So, there's a concept called space, okay? Space can mean a lot of things, but we're just going to use the basic meaning, aka its literal definition, space. Okay? So, what you started out with was you guys were defending this area. So, like, everything, you know, by this line. Okay? And the enemies had to push through either this room or this choke. Okay? So you guys have all of this space, including the high ground and the stairs and everything. And the enemies have these tiny, tiny things. That's what you want. That means that you have a lot of space. Okay? But only if you hold that far forward. Okay? But you guys have kind of opened the valve now. And now, all of a sudden, you guys have this space on the point. Okay? And the enemies, they have basically everything else, including the high ground. Okay? So that's why it's so important to hold the enemies at the choke.
When would you fall back?
Ideally never. Like,
Okay.
unless the enemies literally force you, you really, really should always try to hold as far forward as you can. Okay? So that's kind of a mistake that your Orisa is doing. Because ideally, she would hold, you know, nice and far forward. That's kind of one of Orisa's responsibilities.
So let's say the enemy gets like 3 frags. Is that a situation where we would back out completely and regroup, or just contest and trickle?
Okay, that's always an individual thing. So it's not a we thing; it's kind of a you thing. If you think that even though you're in a 3v6, you can still play aggressively without dying, then go ahead. Okay, because it depends on a character. Someone like Ana or McCree, they need to fall back because they don't have a lot of mobility, so they need to play it safe. You're Lucio. You're hard to hit. You can heal yourself. You're speedy. You can wall ride. You'll obviously be able to kind of stay at the front lines a lot longer. So it's not like a universal answer. But if you feel like it starts getting a little too dangerous, that's when you kind of want to start moving. So that play right there, I really, really liked. That was really good because you were A, attacking from a different angle, which means that you were really, really pressuring the enemy team, and B, you were farming free ult charge. Okay, so
it's not my job to stick with my team and facilitate them all the time.
No, you don't really don't need to pocket them. Okay. You have a Mercy who can keep your teammates alive. Okay, so that's not your job. You need to beat this. Good. Okay, that was a good beat. You saw that your Reinhardt was engaging. You knew that if your Reinhardt died there, okay, I don't know if you knew, but if your Reinhardt died there, this entire, you know, gig would be over. As soon as Reinhardt dies, the entire enemy team would have just flooded in because he's kind of the dam that's holding them all, you know, back. Okay, so as soon as he goes down, it's over. So you use your ultimate to kind of try and keep him alive for a little longer. You use your healing thingamajig, okay? And, you know, that helped you to buy a lot of time.
Right.
Okay? You guys are all going to die to the Junkrat ultimate 100%. Okay. He's smart. He went for the teleport. 900 IQ. I'm proud of this Junkrat. But it's not enough because, you know, your ultimate bought your team enough time to just kind of take them down. That was a good boop. Okay?
Thank you.
Forcing the Hanzo directly in front of your team. That's kind of what you should have done with the soldier earlier as well. Okay, now you can just... Come on, go in. Don't be so scared. Just
still there?
Don't care about this Rico guy. Let him do whatever he wants, okay? His literal job is to annoy the crap out of you. And you're getting annoyed by him. Okay? Just let him do his thing.
So don't go in and don't engage?
No, because that's like basically what he wants.
Okay.
Okay. Like, do you see? Because as I mentioned earlier, okay, you want to keep the enemies in this tight choke area. Okay. You're the dam that keeps the water from coming in. But now, you know, the dam is being distracted by a Reaper. Okay. So right now you're here. This guy is here. The Reinhardt was here. Someone else was helping the Reinhardt. The enemies can just walk through the front door. Okay. And I'm pretty sure that once you turn around, that's exactly what's going to happen. Okay. Look, the enemies are already on the point. While you and Symmetra, like, you're still skirmishing.
Just come back.
Okay. So someone is already on that high ground. The Junkrat is already jumping around on the point. Okay. And I don't know why the Junkrat was this deep. He honestly should have been on the high ground as well. So that was, interesting. But yeah, ideally, like, that really shouldn't happen. Okay. Do not, like, let your guard down, I guess. Okay, that's good. 30 seconds. Okay, now the only thing you can do is... That was a nice pause. That looks pretty sick. The only thing that you can do is hope that you get another ultimate. And, past that, there's not really that much you can do. Try to deal as much damage as you possibly can. He uses an Earth Shatter, that's good. Hanzo's on the high ground. Get the Hanzo off the high ground. Go on the high ground. Fast. The Hanzo's still on the high ground. You really do not want this Hanzo on the high ground. Okay, so that's kind of your priority. You are the gatekeeper of high ground or something.
So it sounds like the two most important functions is my kind of boop for disruption and my ult. I say as I should have ulted.
It's okay. I think you guys should still win this. Like, I don't see you guys losing this.
Yeah, we win this.
You sent in a win. I'm disappointed.
It was I kept playing more and more, and I just kept getting throwers in the games that I felt like the Sombra is not as successful if there's time. But
you just need to convince your teammates that you can be successful. You need to believe.
How did you like my notes, by the way?
Your notes. Where are your notes?
I sent you notes about I sent you a Google Doc, as you requested, for feedback on your coaching session number 2.
Notes on my session. I thought you were talking about notes.
No, I was switching gears a little bit.
Oh god, okay, that was confusing. I mean, they were good, I think.
Okay, I hope they were helpful.
Not really much I can say. It's well structured. I read through all of it.
Cool.
It's pretty good. And like all of your concerns about, like when I was being vulgar and stuff, like I knew about those things. Like,
right.
I knew the coachee and everything.
I got you. So you had the rapport.
Also, exactly. So I that was like his 4th coaching session.
Oh, okay.
So he knew about it, and it also tends to be like a little bit more entertaining, I guess, for if someone watches it, because
definitely
like, people really like it if someone else gets kind of shit talked. So that kind of does usually pretty well.
Right, makes sense.
You said you also have a Sombra bot, so I'd say that we can also.
I do, and I already made it public. So here, I'll send the link.
Okay.
That should work.
There we go. Okay. So now, usually I prefer like longer, like entire games.
Got it.
Where only a few characters, ideally one character ever played, because then I can really explain, give more examples and kind of explain things over the the concept of the entire game.
Got it.
But this should be fine.
Okay.
I mean, I don't like your skin choice because this skin with the golden gun looks fucking ugly, but I can.
It's a little gaudy.
No problem. Okay. Okay, so what would you say is your job as Sombra?
Also disrupting, I would say.
Okay, how?
Get into the back lines, maybe draw the enemy from the choke, take out or hack any targets like Roadhog Diva that I could farm a lot of ult on, and pretty much just farming my ult and using it at key moments.
It's pretty vague, yes, but
okay.
So on this specific map, what is your concrete game plan?
So I believe this was attack, get behind, hack at least one of the health packs.
Okay, how do you get behind? You can't just
all right,
kind of like
throw
saying,
my
the first step is to become president of the United States.
Throw my first teleporter on top of the building outside of our spawn, then go invisible and throw the second one so that it goes over the archway and behind them, lands on top of that like mini booth kind of thing.
Okay, so you need
what
Fitzy
does
to get behind the enemy team.
Yeah, I watch a lot of Fitzy, and that's kind of how he starts off usually. So
you can usually be a bit more efficient. You can usually just go like directly through the choke, just throw your translocator on the point, and then like TP. You don't need to use true translocators, because obviously the earlier you'll actually be behind the enemy team, the better. So your kind of goal as Sombra is you kind of want to infiltrate them, and then step one is you want to get behind them, and once you are behind them, you want to start hacking the mega in the big health pack next to the point, and ideally the small health pack next to the point as well. And then just do your regular Sombra rotation. You put your translocator on one of those. You start going into the enemy team. You shoot, and then you go back, and you just try to get your EMP as quickly as possible. And the most important thing is, similar to Lucio, okay, terror. You really, really need to make the enemy scared. You want them to always keep in mind, okay, we have this Sombra behind us. Okay. So the worst thing that can happen is you being behind the enemy team and then just dying, because then you're kind of telling the enemy team, guys, I'm killable. And especially when you're smurfing, the biggest advantage that a smurf has is that the enemy team just starts to think that he's unkillable. Okay, that's how you can tell if someone is smurfing. Not if he gets a billion kills, okay, but if he's just not killable, essentially. Okay, so you go behind, it's fine. Okay, drop your translocator. You didn't drop your translocator on the pack. You're being so slow right now. There's fucking World War III going on at the choke, and you're like hacking small health packs. What's going on? You need to like keep follow the mission target or whatever. Put your translocator on there and then go to war. Okay, start shooting stuff. Like this Orisa is like half HP already. Okay, put your translocator, go and start shooting stuff. Okay, pew pew. You need to get your ulti.
Ready?
Okay, which Sombra would get more ult charge? Okay, a Sombra that walks here and starts to shoot the enemy team, or a Sombra that does, whatever the heck you're doing.
Ready?
Right.
It's gonna walk here, wait a little for the cooldown. Oh yeah, okay. Hacking the health pack. Okay, I'm just gonna chill. I'm working. Now I'm stealthing. Okay.
Got you.
Now I'm like walking back here. Like again, it's been like what 30 seconds, and you still haven't like actually dealt a single point of damage. I think. That's not optimal. 30 seconds is a long time. It's been like
get ready.
like over 10% of the game are already over. 10% in which you've basically done nothing, and now you're like in the middle of the enemy team. Okay, without a translocator. Not going in the middle of the enemy team without a translocator.
Okay,
You're still not doing anything. Okay, then you throw your. I mean, okay, that's a good translocator. You like try to take this high ground area, and then you kind of just go down again, and then you like go back here. Like I know, like you should be behind the enemy team, but if you aren't actually shooting the enemies from behind, like half the enemy team doesn't even know you're here.
Right.
Actually, no. Basically everyone except Moira doesn't know that you're here. To be honest. And if they don't even know you exist, then that's not really you're not really making them feel terrored.
Right.
D.Va's hacked.
Yes, your teammates and finally engage. Okay, no thanks to you, Kafka. Okay, good. Mirroring the movement, land easy shots. That's pretty nice.
In terms of DPI and things like that, does mine fit into the normal range? I'm 1600 and like 3.5.
You literally have the exact same sensitivity I do.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Okay.
Yes.
Even if I switch to like a sniper or something, it doesn't matter.
Should be fine.
Okay.
To be honest. I mean, I don't know why you would want to pick a sniper. It's not a hero poop, so I wouldn't worry about that.
Right.
Oh boy.
Well, that wasn't really that great, was it? So, always put your translocator down before you go in. Do not use your translocator to engage. Just as a general rule, do not use it to engage. You drop your translocator down, and then you either just walk in or you use your stealth if you need to.
Right.
Okay. Because if you same thing with your ultimate as well. Actually, if you want to ult, one like big issue is a lot of players. They saw this clip of someone throwing in their translocator and then just EMPing from above, and they think they need to do that all the time. No. Ideally, the way you use your ultimate is you put your translocator down, you stealth, you use your ultimate in the enemy team, you try to get a kill, and then you use your translocator to get out. The only situations in which you would use your translocator to go in is if there's no way for you to go behind the enemy team. So, for example, on the first point of Hanamura, it's impossible for a Sombra to get to the other side without her translocator. Because if she uses stealth, she's going to get uncloaked by all of the damage that's going through the main choke. Okay? So that's one of the situations where you should do it. But right here, not so much. So now you're like in the middle of the enemy team, and you know you don't have a translocator to get out.
Got it.
So yes, that was kind of feeding, especially considering look at what your teammates are doing. Like the enemy diva is already down. That's super good. Look, your Genji is even using Blade. Everyone is engaging. It would be so great if they had an EMP to follow them and then help them.
Right.
You didn't know it takes longer for her to get her mech back than it is for her to die and respawn?
No, if she just spams into your Reinhardt's back, it takes like 5 shots.
Alright, let's group here, Help me!
Okay, this monkey is bullying you. And you're kind of just lacking a general plan. Okay? Come on, go in. You have your translocator down. Why would okay. I guess you want to reset the cooldown or something.
Alright,
Do not use it to go in. Oh my god.
Let's do this. The health pack to the left.
I mean, this is like the literal definition of insanity. You've done the same thing, and you expect something different to happen.
Got it.
Left is hacked.
Like, why? Like it's nice that you want to hack it, but you don't need to use your translocator. And now again, like you
Let's go,
try
let's go,
fighting
let's go.
people, but like you don't have a translocator. Okay. And it's a problem because this animation of you throwing the translocator and then actually using it, it takes a long time. Okay.
I see.
You're trying way too hard to hack people here. You do not always need to right-click people. Like the only
yeah.
times in which you want to right-click someone is if they have like any important cooldowns, like a Mercy with the rest, for example. Okay. But in most cases, you know, just shoot them. And that's fine. Okay. So for example, that hack on the Winston would have been so much more useful on this Mercy. It would have stopped her from resing 2 characters. So 1 res would have essentially given you a +2.
Hanzo,
But you know, the Winston on the other hand, like he doesn't care if he's hacked. He really
down.
doesn't. Like he just wants to get shot at, and you know, not being able to jump doesn't really make a difference.
Right.
Okay, so your position is good. You're on the high ground. You're
back
dealing 3
down.
damage. Everything is fine. This push is super over though. How are you still alive? You're not. Okay. I don't know what to say.
Called it.
Probably should have gone out there a little bit earlier.
I have my ult again.
Because you were behind the enemy team, you really want to stay behind the enemy team. Okay, so it probably would have been better to just kind of, you know, call it quits a little bit earlier. And, you know, to keep up that pressure, okay, so that the enemy team, like, keeps thinking, oh, okay, there's this Sombra behind us that we need to take care of.
So even if I have my full ult, and I would potentially be charging the enemy healers.
Do not worry about charging enemy
Alright, we
healers
good?
or charge at all, whatsoever. That is a non-issue.
Okay.
Okay.
See, what was this? You're, like, in the middle of the enemy team without translocate.
Called it out.
Okay, so again, like just very risky. Like the majority. That was a nice hack. The majority of your translocators so far have been very you know aggressive, and it is a defensive ability. Okay, and it's okay to use it aggressively, but not if like you've died, you know, already. It's not like okay, and you really like as Sombra, you really want to avoid dying, or in general, you just want to avoid dying as much as possible. Okay.
Right.
Dying is literally the worst thing you can do in this game. Before you think about being more effective, you need to just focus on not dying. Okay, this push is over. Just
Are we
get
still
out. Like,
pushing?
right now you're fighting this for way too long. You're probably going to die again.
Alright, well, I
There,
have my
you
ult
could have
again.
just like gone out. I mean, let me go back. Maybe I can be more specific. Like right here, look at the kill feed. This is over. This is so incredibly over at this point. There's no reason for you to continue fighting. It's basically just you and a low HP monkey taking on the entire enemy team.
Makes sense.
So, you know, in cases like this, just go out. Okay? Stay alive.
Are we still pushing?
Okay? Because your death here wasn't like you're asking, are we still pushing? That's not a question you should ask.
well,
You should
I
look
have
at the
my
kill
ult
feed and then you'll be able to tell when the push is
let's
over.
combo
Because look, the
punch
Genji,
here.
he managed to make it out. Okay, I hope. Okay, no, he's so dead. Ah, never mind. See, he made it out. Called it. Okay. So clearly, if he can make it out, you can do as well. And he's in gold. How does a gold player manage to survive?
Ready? Wait.
But you end up dying. It's not good.
Whoa, why are we going so aggressive? We're not full.
Okay, also, like, what you're telling your teammates right now is actually so irrelevant. Like, oh, what are we...
In what way? Because I was calling for a kind of grouping.
You do not worry about grouping. You really don't. You worry about, like, stacking ultimates and, like, creating an advantage. What you need to capture these points are two things. You need an ultimate advantage, and you need a +1. Okay, so aka a numbers advantage of 1. Okay. Now, the problem is, the ultimate advantage usually isn't really the problem. Like, you have ulti, I think your Genji still has ulti. Like, you guys have enough ultis. I mean, if you would press tab, I could tell for sure. Oh my god, Jesus. Okay. So you need the ultis and you need the +1. Okay? Once you have these things, that's when you can start engaging. That's when you can start using EMP. That's when you can start stacking your ultimates to try and take the point and snowball it. Okay?
Okay.
But the problem is, if you like waste all of your time regrouping here instead of trying to get that +1 for your team by 1v1 and someone behind behind the enemy team, kind of in their backline, just spawn camping them. Okay, you need to get that +1 because that allows your teammates to push it. But what you do instead is, okay, you're in a -1 and you use your ultimate. Okay, you need to stack your ultimates, get a +1, and then use all of your ultimates to just push the advantage. Right now, you're at a disadvantage, wasting all of your ultimates.
So if that one person gets picked on our team, do we still continue trying for the +1, or do we wait for them to respawn? Or
what's that?
If one person gets picked on our team, do we still try for the +1? Or
Your Sombra, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Like, I mean, it's simple for Sombra. You just plop down your translocator, you go and you try to kill someone. If it doesn't work, you translocate back. Okay, that's basically it. Like, Sombra is not reliant on her team. You can make plays on your own, okay? But the problem is, like, you won't be able to take this point. 100%. I can bet, like, my entire, everything that you're not going to take this point. Just because you went in with a disadvantage. Okay? And you need to keep in mind, because the defender's spawn is so close, you already have a disadvantage. The +1 is just there to basically even out the odds. Also, this ended a bit prematurely. Okay?
Right, because then I switched to Mercy.
It's just there to even out the odds. Okay? So
say that. Sorry, can you say that one more time?
Okay, so because the defenders are so close to their spawn,
yeah.
Okay, even if the numbers are even if you're in a 6v6, they still have the advantage. Okay, the +1 is not to give you an advantage, to remove theirs. It's to even the odds.
Okay.
Okay, a -1 is basically giving them an advantage while they already have an advantage. So it's basically impossible for them to take the point. Okay. For you to take the point. Okay?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, so overall, you're wasting a lot of time, especially at the start of the game. You need to just focus, get your ultimate as quickly as possible so you can get these advantages for your teammates, okay? On Lucio, make sure that you make the enemy, in general, just make the enemy scared, okay? Let them know that you exist. Don't leave your teammates in a 5v6, okay? Just let them know, hey, I'm here, I can shoot stuff, you guys need to deal with me because I'm behind you. You need to kind of sandwich them. Okay, with Lucio, get the enemies of high ground. Get your ultimate, okay? Here, think about the entire numbers advantage thing, okay? On the second point, stack ultimates, get your +1, push in, kill everything. Okay? Good. Do you have any questions?
Yes.
Sure.
In terms of ways to improve other than kind of game knowledge or a session like this, what are your suggestions?
Okay. So what I usually recommend is reference reviewing. It's kind of a technique where you try to compare your own gameplay with professional gameplay, kind of cutting it into pieces and then comparing each piece one by one. So in this case, you were kind of struggling with the second point, or let's just take Volskaya in general. So you played Sombra on Volskaya, and maybe you come up with the idea, okay, this wasn't really working as well as I planned. I need to look at how you actually do it. So what you would do is you would start searching for references. So you go to the streamers you like, to the YouTubers that you like, and you try to find gameplay of them playing Volskaya Industry as Sombra. Okay? Now, once you found it, you're going to cut it into its pieces. So into the first point and the second point, and then into attack and defense, so that you have 4 nice pieces. And then you're going to watch that, you're going to choose one of those pieces, and then you're going to watch every single reference play out that specific point. So for example, if you choose second point attack, you're going to watch every single reference you can find attack that second point. Usually I recommend around 2 different references. So
2 different references from 2 different players, or?
It doesn't have to be from, no, just 2 different games.
Okay.
Can be, like, they can all be from the same player.
Okay.
Okay. Now that you've watched a pro player attack the second point in Volskaya Industries 3 times in a row, and you then go to your own gameplay, okay, you're just going to see, like, all of the differences. They're going to be super, super obvious. You don't even have to use your brain. You're going to feel, like, kind of embarrassed at first. But that's good, because now you see, like, all of these differences, and you can start writing them down, okay? In the way they use their translocator, in the way which flank rods they use, how aggressive they play, how much time they spend regrouping, etc., etc., etc. Okay? And you write all of these down. And now once you have them, that's what you're going to use for your deliberate practice. Because practice is only really useful if you focus on one of your weak points. Playing the game can help you get better. But if you actually focus on one specific weakness of your play, you're going to see progress so much faster. Okay? If you don't have anything specific to focus on, you're just going to focus on everything at once. It's going to be too much to think about, and you're going on autopilot. And if you're on autopilot, you're not really going to get anywhere. But if you focus on one specific thing, then you always have this clear train of thought that you can follow in your games that it's very, very hard to derail of. So if you focus, for example, on using, your translocator more defensively, that is one thing you can focus on. That's one thing that you can keep track of. And then you play a few games, and, a week or so later, you can do another reference review. And this time, once again, you compare the way you use your translocator to the way that your references use their translocator. And ideally, you're going to see less of a difference, and eventually you won't see a difference at all. The way you use translocator will eventually become indistinguishable from the way a professional player would use translocator. And at that point, you can just get another list of the things that you've accomplished, and you can write it down in there, okay? I don't have problems with my translocator anymore. And then you can tackle the next big issue, and the next one, and the next one. And as you keep doing this, you always have a clear goal in mind. That list starts growing, and eventually your entire gameplay is going to be indistinguishable from professional gameplay. And once you reach that point, you just need to keep that performance up. You need to make sure that you don't die, get full value out of your character, use your abilities and ultimates properly, and then, the climb is going to come by itself. Because every single pro player, made it out of platinum. So if your gameplay, in your eyes becomes indistinguishable from theirs, then, the climb is going to come over time. And as you start spotting less and less differences, you can even increase the amount of references. So eventually you can use 4, 5, 6. It really depends on how much time you want to put in and how many references you can find for that particular hero map combo. And, the more you use, the more, minor differences are going to pop out to you. But considering that you're still at a very average rating, Platinum is kind of like middle school. Top 500 is kind of like pioneering, a Mars travel. Okay, so the differences are going to be very, very, very obvious. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. How much time? For someone like, is my hesitation on choosing Sombra as like my main DPS pick, is that merited, or like do you think that
in what way?
Would it be better to focus on someone like Tracer, who's ubiquitously useful, rather than Sombra, who people see as kind of sometimes a niche or troll kind of pick?
I mean, you always have Lucio and Reinhardt.
It's true. Okay. And then
there are people like Cody who literally play nothing but Sombra. So
right. And then I guess if my other choices are like everyone fills out first, there's only a heal slot left, and someone's already picked Lucio, then I just do my best and
then you're going
pick
to
someone
either
else.
politely ask if you can play Lucio, or you're just going to play with a single support.
Okay.
Ideally, you're going to be so good that you honestly don't need multiple supports. Like, I've won games, even in Masters, with 6 DPS. Just because, like, everyone on the team was a really, really good DPS main. So we just, sure, we didn't have a lot of healing, but the enemies died so quickly that they couldn't even damage us, so we didn't really need healing, and the health packs were good enough.
Okay.
So yes, you can always become good enough. No, you can't win all games. There's no one with a 100% win rate past 10 games or so. Okay, so you need to keep that in mind. You can't win all of the games. In general, around 40% of your matches are going to be wins no matter what. 40% are going to be losses no matter what. Okay, and the remaining 20% are the games that are actually in your control, where if you are good, you're going to win them. If you're bad, you're going to lose them. That's also why if you look at, the kind of distribution of win rates amongst players, you will very, very rarely see a player above 40%, above 60% win rate, and you will also rarely find someone who has a below 40% win rate. Okay, because they will just, as long as they play enough games, as long as there's a large enough sample size, they will, win at least 40% of their games, no matter how trash they are. Okay, as long as they're somewhat in their correct rate. Okay, so obviously someone, a bronze player in top 500, he's not going to do as well.
Okay, yeah, that was so helpful. Thank you so much.
Okay. If you have any questions, you can always get back to me.
Okay.
I am going to eat some dinner.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Yeah. You too.
Yeah.
And again, send me a message. And if you want to, so this is kind of weird because usually this is for like regular coaches, but whatever. You could, in theory, go to this page and you can share your thoughts on the session in a review. And
okay.
As I said, if you have any questions, go ahead, and I'm gonna go and fill my belly with.
Sure thing. And if you'd ever like to talk gaming psych or collaborate on anything in that field, let me know. I'd be more than happy to.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.